Al was a pilot, not a businessman, had no formal business training whatsoever. He has a head full of common sense, and so he ran his business with common sense back then, just as he does today.
Al's common sense told him that he needed to prove his oil in the toughest arena he could find. Al enlisted old friend Felix Tomlinson, now living in Southern California, the hotbed of racing development, to help promote his oil. Tomlinson got a sample into the hands of legendary race car builder Dan Gurney and ace mechanic John Miller.
They took a Yamaha motorcycle out one weekend and put it in the motorcycle, and John had one and Dan had the other, and he said Gurney says, "You can't believe it." He says, "I just run away from him. It made all the difference in the world." So they said we stopped, and I changed oil, and we drained both of them, and I put Johnny's oil in my rig and put Am's oil in John's rig, and took off, and John went by me like I was standing still. He says, "I gotta try this stuff in the car."
The lead driver for Gurney's team was racing legend Bobby Unser. For over a decade, Unser had dominated the grueling annual road race up Colorado's Pikes Peak. But Unser was having problems with the gears in his Pikes Peak car. The rear end kept failing after just a single day. In desperation, he contacted Al and begged him for some AMSOIL.
So he mailed me some, put it on an airplane. In those days it was an easy thing to do. And I put it in, and lo and behold, my rear end, to show you the difference, would not only last one day, it would last through all the practice session, which was 3 days, qualifying day, which you run further, and race day, and be good for next year. Now, that's the biggest gain I've ever made on a lubricant in my life.
Without a doubt, the biggest prize in racing was the Indianapolis 500. And Bobby Unser was one of Indy's shining stars. By now, Unser was a strong believer in Al's product and a close friend. But the big oil companies had a lock on his sponsorship. That didn't keep Unser from doing what was needed to win.
So I'd carry the oil in, and I'd just set it in the garage along on the floor so everybody would see it. If it'd be a 5-gallon can, it'd be a 5-gallon can. If it'd be in quarts, it'd be in quarts. It'd all say Valvoline on it, or whoever was doing it in those days. And inside would be AMSOIL.
Bobby Unser has won the Indianapolis 500.
And what do? They say, they'll tell you, the biggest guys that they'll have, and I'm not going to rub salt into the wound and say who it is, but they say, yes, AMSOIL is the best oil there is. So we must make an oil that's just as good. But what have they done? They've all copied AMSOIL, all of them. Every synthetic oil that you see is partially copied from AMSOIL.